Antifa is coordinating riots on both coasts and in between. Barricades are going up right now in Times Square. The NYPD is worried about attacks on police and potentially public transportation. Our rage is stronger than their power, declared the Antifa chapter in Frederick, Maryland. Of course, by morning we'll know if that's... We get so mad watching CNN that we took to the streets and set police stations on fire or whatever they plan to do? No. Antifa is not a bunch of hooligans. These are not idle kids who just appear out of nowhere because they're so mad about what they saw on cable news or read on Twitter. Antifa is a political instrument whose actions always are intended to affect a political outcome.
It's hard to comment on stories like this because what Tucker Carlson says in times of mass protests is basically all lies. It's impossible to know where to start, but where I will try is that Tucker and Fox News love nothing more than sitting on their soapboxes and denouncing protests. It's when they think they're on top of the world, and so although they say they hate protests, violence, riots, we all know that they're absolutely salivating at the prospect of peaceful, justified protests turning violent, so that they can scare their viewers into denouncing calls for change, in this case, police reform, and coerce viewers into voting more Republican. Another reason why they love it is because they get to blame and lambast something that genuinely does not exist. It's always that Antifa get bussed in from out of state to foment violence. There's never the possibility that locals are fed up and angry with the lack of progress and are simply exercising their constitutional right to protest.
Antifa is being organized by whom? We don't know. Why don't we know? To do what? We can't say right now. But we know for certain that in cities across the country right now, Antifa is mobilizing to commit violence. This is a political militia. So the question is, who's benefiting from it? Those are the people you ought to be asking questions of, and we're going to have time to do that.
Antifa is not an organization. Sure, there are many organizations like local mutual aid groups, electoral strategy organizations, and so on that have an anti-fascist worldview, as many Americans do. But there is no umbrella organization that is secretly making money and using it to bus its members to cities across the country to stoke violence. It's just not a thing. Many people on the left actually joke that they wish Antifa existed in the way that people like Tucker think it does. They wish they were just getting a check sent to them to go march across the country. Because the reality is that people who consider themselves Antifa are likely setting up soup kitchens in your downtown area and spending hours articulating bylaws and rules for their local policy strategy group. A group that has no leadership, no headquarters, no website, no chapter meetings, no fundraising apparatus, no donor list. Yes, they're the ones wreaking havoc on our nation.
We should all be worried. This is terrifying. We should fight against sweeping racial attacks like this with everything we have. Not because we're sympathetic to the specific group they're going after, but because it is wrong, always, no matter what, no matter who the target is. No child is born evil. Sin cannot be inherited. That's insane.
Again, Tucker wants there to be violence. They want people to burn down police precincts, the flames of which Fox is stoking so that their extremist politicians can profit off of a scared American populace. Meanwhile, what actually happened on the ground in Memphis? Peaceful protest. Make no mistake, what Tucker Carlson is doing here is dangerous. But on another hand, it's simply just flat out frustrating. Never forget that they want violence to escalate. They want to see the burning storefronts because it's their strongest political strategy. But they can only blame Antifa for so long until everyone realizes what a crock of shit this whole thing is. Sadly, by that time though, they'll probably just have moved on to their next target. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me on all platforms at Caro Johnson 917.